Hello and welcome to the channel. My name's Vormithrax, and today we're going to be playing a digital board game called Age of Rivals by Roboto Games. So I love me my digital board games. I'll probably be covering quite a few on the channel, and depending on popularity and view count and all that stuff, which ones I play will change over time. And your guys' interest. A lot of these I just play for my own benefit, but if you guys show a particular interest and want to see a particular game, let me know. I'd be happy to showcase one or play certain challenges, whatever you'd like. So, like I mentioned, I'm a big-time digital board game fan. I've been playing board games for a very long time, and the rise of smartphones and the Steam platform and such has made my life a lot easier in regards to this particular hobby. A lot of the traditional board games are now being converted over to digital versions, as well as new games arriving, taking advantage of the digital platform and trying new things. So this is one of those examples. It wasn't a previous board game. It's freshly made for the digital marketplace. I believe it was mobile first and then has also been incorporated into Steam, so you can find it both places. I'll have some links in the description below where you can check out the details if you'd like to get the game. So I do recommend it. It seems to be a really well-made game. I've played a bit, so I'm familiar with the basic rules, and I'll kind of talk about the rules as I go through. I'm not going to do the tutorial in this episode. I'm just going to play a match so you can kind of get an idea of what it's like and how it plays out, and I'll give some overall general information on just how things are working and what I'm doing. But for details, if you'd like to see the tutorial, just let me know. I'll consider going through it, but I've already done it on my mobile about I don't know, 6 months or so ago. Really enjoyed it, but haven't visited it lately, and figure I'd give it a go here via the Android emulator software that allows me to record these videos for you. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and just hit play. And to give you kind of a general overview, this is a I want to say it's a CCG, a collectible card game, but that's not quite right. It's a single purchase game. You don't have to do any in-app purchases or anything like that. There's no additional money spent. It's just a one-time purchase and you've got the full game. What it does have is a progression method where while you play the game and earn victories and win matches and so on, you'll be awarded certain amounts of gold for your winnings, and you use that gold to buy card packs. So like I said, there's nothing really collectible about it other than it allows new cards to enter your gameplay over a period of time as you play. But you're not having to spend additional money or anything like that. So you'll see what I mean here in just a moment. So what we're doing on this screen is choosing a leader type that allows you a guarantee of certain cards to appear in the game that you're about to play. So I'm just going to pick the default one for this one, so Ziana, and I've only got one of the 3 possible unlocks done for her, so this Leviathan's card is guaranteed to come up in play during my next match. This indicates what rounds that the card's going to show up in, so it won't show up in the very first round, but it has an opportunity to show up in later rounds. And then these are the stats, and I'll kind of talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And then these are all the cards that you own. So as you play each match and you get gold and you buy the packs and you unpack new cards, they get added to your overall deck, and you always play with your entire deck. So you don't have to do any kind of complicated deck building or anything like that. So there's none of that function, and you'll see why here in a second as you get used to the flow of the game. But these are all the different categories of cards that I have. So got 7 of the infantry, 7 of the cavalry. This is ranged or catapults and archers. These are usually stealth cards, culture cards, I forget what they call that one. Building, these are defensive cards like walls and forts, and then industry cards. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to hit play from here so we can get into the gameplay proper. But basically, as you play, some of the cards you'll unlock are these leader types, and they give you access to different kinds of cards, and you can edit and change which cards you're guaranteed to have during the match. So they also give you a pretty good amount of variability and flexibility. So we'll just play with the basics though. We're going to go with Leviathans. Hit play. Alright, so this is the primary game board, and you saw there the different phases that are going to occur during the rounds. So the game is played out over a series of 4 rounds, and the only action you perform during each round is you pick a card. So what you're seeing here is these are 4 cards drawn mostly at random from my deck, although I believe you're guaranteed at least 1 resource for this first draw. But I believe after that it's pretty much completely randomized. So it just shuffled my deck up of all the cards I own, drew the cards at random, and made sure I was guaranteed some resource cards. So all I'm going to do during my turn is click on one of my cards. I've got an amount of gold here that I can buy cards with. These are my points or culture points that are used to win the match, and my portrait, his portrait. So my opponent is doing the same thing, so he's got his selection of cards from his deck, and we're each just going to pick 1 card from our own decks. That card will appear here in the first card position, and in this first round, round 1, we're going to build a play space of 8 cards. And what's going to happen is I'm going to pick one of my cards, it'll go here, he'll pick one of his to go here. We pay the cost of the card that's shown in the center of the card out of our gold supply. Now what happens next is his 3 remaining cards are going to move up to my space, my 3 remaining cards are going to move down to his, and we're going to pick again. So you're actually going to be building a deck of cards from a mix of your cards plus whatever cards he's got. So you have to carefully consider what he has, what he's already played, and make some decisions. You may know or have a pretty good idea of which card he's going to select, and then you're trying to plan, okay, what can I take to use from his deck that's going to complement what I'm trying to do. So for this first round, there's going to be 8 total cards played that we're going to build our deck with. Now I need to talk about a couple of the things so you understand kind of the strategy that I'm trying to do here. There are 4 rounds total that are going to be played, and the object is to score culture points. So that is the only metric for who's going to win the match at the end. So there are many different avenues to scoring culture points, and you'll see what happens here shortly. But to give you an overall view, 8 cards are going to be picked for this first round. Then there's going to be some war phases that occur, and it'll make more sense in just a short bit when you see how that works. Then another round is going to be played. And how to describe this? So the 8 cards that are selected when the first round ends are going to be pulled aside into a separate new deck. 4 of those 8 cards are going to be randomly chosen, and they are going to start in these top 4 spaces for the next round. So you will be guaranteed starting with those 4. 4 brand new cards are going to be generated the same way that this first series is. We're going to have random card draws, and then we're going to go back and forth picking 1 card each until we finish filling out all 8 cards. Once that's done, those cards are going to be shuffled up. 4 cards will be set up top for the third round. Then a brand new set of 4 cards will be generated. And what's happening is you're going to, through the first 3 rounds, be basically building a final round deck. And so the 4th round is going to contain just cards that you have brought into play between your deck and your opponent's decks. None of the rest of the cards that you own in your collection are going to be included. So the final round is played out with just the 16 cards that you have played previously into your little tableau area. And it's a mix of your cards plus your opponent's cards. So basically everything you've played before. So you have to think long term in regards to which cards that you play, what you have already collected, in anticipation of that final round, because those are the cards that are going to form a brand new deck, and those are the only cards that are going to appear in that last round for you to choose from. So you kind of have to balance which types and quantities of cards that you're selecting with a mind towards that 4th round and how it's going to play out, because that tends to be where most of the powerful cards and combinations appear, so a lot of points are scored in that final round. So you'll get an idea of what I mean here in just a moment and how it works. It's actually a very elegant system. It allows for quick, easy play. You're only making 1 quick decision each round, so the matches tend to play out in a very short time frame. It might take 10 to 15 minutes. It'll take longer for me this round, or this game, because I'm kind of explaining a lot of things and there's not a lot happening while I'm just talking. But when you're playing on your own and you've played a match or 2, so you understand the basic mechanics, you'll be able to go through a full game in, like I said, 10 or 15 minutes. So it's a quick playing, but very strategic game. So it's got a lot of interesting tactics to it, different paths to victory that you can pursue, and because of the random nature of what cards are pulled out of your collection that you're going to play with each time, it makes for a fair amount of variability. So let's kind of play through. I'm going to just do things, and I'll talk about some of it, but I want to actually get through a game in a relatively short amount of time. So I can go into more detail in a future episode if you'd like to see more of the game. So in this first thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a resource card. So we've got training and iron are two resources. So you can see iron and training. And this is an income that's going to be generated while these cards are in play. It's going to cost me 2 to generate it, and this is the type or category of card that it belongs to. And these are defensive values, so they have 3 defense that they can withstand from attacks before the card would be retired or destroyed. So I'm going to start off with some resources. So sometimes you have to make some pretty hard choices because you might really want a light catapult to come out, but you just got to have resources early on. So let's make some choices. And you can see he's got a stone and a horses. He's probably going to pick one of those two. And what these resources do is they make cards cheaper to buy if the card requires that type of resource. So it'll be a little more apparent here in a moment. I'm going to pick iron, so I just click on it. He picked horses, so it took the money out of our things here. And you can see here, these numbers are the income that it's going to be generating per turn, or per round that is. So right up here you can see we've went from 8 to +1 to 9. And now we have generated a stone resource or iron resource for me and a horses for him. And that's going to last throughout the entire match. So from now on, any cards that I play that might require that resource, I'm going to get a bonus or a reduction in the cost of the card to play it. Now, there's an interesting mechanic where if I do not have a resource, but my opponent does, for a card that I choose to buy, he's going to earn an income because I'll have to buy his resources to produce it, and vice versa. So you can see here in red outline around this, this is indicating to that player or my opponent that if he buys this particular card, it requires this iron resource. He doesn't own it, but I do, so the red is telling him he's going to end up paying me if he tries to recruit that card. So that's the way that works. So you'll see here it's important to try to gather as many various resources as you can so that you're not paying your opponent for the use of their resources in order to produce things. Alright, so this next choice, I've got stone as a resource option. Theater is something that's going to generate culture points. It has no combat abilities. It's got very, very light defense ability. And that's the type of card, music or culture. No, this is, I want to call this culture, but maybe this is just victory points and this is culture. I can't remember all the terms for all the symbology, but however, so this is the type of card. These are the victory points that we're trying to accrue as the rounds go by. Counterfeiter is an interesting card. It duplicates the enemy's choice. So if I look down here and I see that he's got some really cool card that he's about to play or a really expensive card that he's about to play, I can say, alright, I know he's going to grab that. I'd really like one too. I'll grab Counterfeiter, and when the round plays out, my guy will basically duplicate his card. So I'll get a mirror image of it. For what we're seeing here though, I'm going to go ahead and go with more resources. It's important to get these out early so you can get the maximum benefit from having the resources. And it's nice the way that they show these zooming symbols so you can see what's happening where. So you saw the zoom right there. That's indicating that I'm getting a discount for these cards because each of the resources zoomed to the card that they were appropriate for, and it lowered the cost I'm going to have to pay. So I've got to go 8 rounds. I've got to manage my limited gold supply carefully so that I don't run out before I have all 8 of my cards. If you run out of your money before you get all 8, you're stuck. Now you can basically discard a card to gain a small amount of money. I think it's 2 or 3 gold. So that's one way to try to get to the end and have enough cards. But you can't just buy super expensive cards for all 8. You just won't make it. Alright, so now we're starting to get down to it. Do I go for the wood resource to improve my resource supply? Or do I start gearing up for some combat? He actually bought the light catapults. That's going to give 4 attack value versus defenses before the war starts. So when we finish the round, there's going to be some combat that's going to occur. And you'll see how that works when that happens. But I have to plan for what he's doing. So I am going to pick Some cards have dependency, so you see here, this card will get +2 if I have 3 of these types of cards in play. Not likely to get that out. I think this is spirituality is what these represent. So this is a sanctuary or church type of a building. I would love to get the relatively high culture value or victory point value out of that, but I'm willing to give up some attack power just to make sure I continue to build up my resource supply. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to keep building up my basic resource supplies. So he went with a common thief. He's going to steal 3 gold after the war phase. Alright, so now these are his 3 cards I get to choose from. Ramparts is a defensive card, and it's got 6 defense value. Now notice the light catapults is going to do 4 attack versus that, so it's going to lower this to 2 defenses basically before the war starts. So he gets to fire his catapults and damage my ramparts. So I've got another opportunity for a resource that I can add to my pool, and this will come into play, and it's very powerful as a ongoing cost-saving measure. So I'm building up my infrastructure and my economy. It's going to cost less to recruit cards the more variety I have in these resources. Now it does not help to have multiples of anything, so I'm looking and noting that this is a training card and I do not have any training resources yet. So he's so far only got that. I'd like to get the ramparts out, but I'm going to keep building my economy. I'm going to spend most of this first round just building that up. He's going to probably pull up pretty far ahead of me initially in some victory points, but I think it'll be worth it through the long run. Alright, now we got some choices and some interesting ones. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with Southern Trade, I think. I'm really going to get hit in this first round, but notice 2 other resources. This is going to produce 2 resources. Cost me 2 to buy it. It's going to produce 1 gold per round, but it's going to give me cavalry, and I'm going to say that's learning, I guess. 2 more that I don't have. So in 1 card I can get 2 more resources. So I'm going to bite the bullet and just go ahead and do it. That's going to allow me to have just tons and tons of variety in my resources. Alright, I've got just about every resource possible now, so from now on, I think that's going to be good. I'm not going to try to gather this last one unless I really don't have a better choice. So I'm going to be switching to other things now. So a stone wall's got a really good defensive value. Guild of Masons heals all damage to 1 defensive structure at the end of the round, so that would be really cool in combination with my wall, but I've got to pick one thing from this grouping. The jewel mine is just a resource generator. I'm going to pick the wall. Oh, I wasn't... Alright, sneaky tunneler. So he tunneled under my walls. He had 2. So it says, if 2 of these cards are in play on his side, knock out enemy fortification or this. So because he had the common thief and the sneaky tunneler, he just knocked out my wall. So, bad play on my part. I didn't see that he had that combination possible. So alright, well, 2 more cards to play, and I've got good resources, so I'm getting really cheap cards for the value, well, relatively speaking. I've got 12 gold left to spend this round, so I've got more money than I can spend with these last 2 card choices, so I can pretty much pick anything I want. I think I'm going to go with trade capital. So all allied production buildings are going to gain 2. So production, 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 production. So that's basically a card that's going to generate 12 victory points for me because I'll get 10 from these 5 and then 2 for the card itself. Now this is assuming the card's not knocked out during different play at the end of the round before the scoring phase occurs. So right now he's only got 1 combat card out that's going to be able to do damage during that round. So he's going to get... No, that's not going to count. He's going to get 2 damage, and I can absorb that with one of my guys without losing the card. So at the moment, I'm looking pretty good. I'm going to go with that trade capital. I don't want to pass up the opportunity to score that many points. So there it is, applying the bonus to all the appropriate cards. And then I get to choose from his cards, he gets to choose from my cards. So it's always important to look at both sets and try to plan ahead for what might be available and what might be possible. So I do see there is the last resource that I have not acquired. So were I to take that, I would then have the maximum possible savings for card purchases through the rest of the game. Or I can go with the Holy Knights. I gain 1 for each allied culture, spiritual. I don't have any spiritual out. It's almost all production, so that won't gain me the bonus. But he's pretty strong. He's got a 4 defense and he does 5 damage. That's more than any one of his buildings could take, so it's pretty much guaranteed that my knights would knock out one of his cards when it comes down to the war phase. So I'm giving that a pretty serious thought. I won't gain a benefit from this because I have no cards out that are either infantry or cavalry. And like I said, the trade card would gain me 1 more income as well as the gems that I don't yet have. So it's between these two. But remember what I said in that whatever cards that we pick are going to be used for building our deck through the following rounds. So do I want to make sure this card is going to show up again in the later rounds, or this card, and so on? I think I'm going to go without this. I think I've got enough resources, and I've got to make sure I get some military cards into the deck that I'm building for that 4th round, so I'm definitely going to go Holy Knights. And he went learning, so he got 1 more of the resources. Alright, so now we go to the conquer phase. This is where you get kind of points for taking these cities. All it does is compare the attack values of the cards, and the way it scores is whoever has the most quantity of attacks that are going into a location, one of those castles, wins. Doesn't matter what the numbers are, it's how many are included. So if I have a 1 and a 1 and he only has a single 6, I'm going to win that particular castle engagement because I have more quantity than he has. After the quantity, or if things are equal, then it comes down to a higher value. We'll take the next one. And it just keeps applying damage until all 3 of those castles, if possible, are taken, and you score victory points based on that. So now we're in the war phase, and what's happening is I'm attacking him, he's attacking me. So I had 5 points of damage that were going to be sent through to his side, and the damage gets kind of hard to explain, but the damage got split, and there's reasons, and I can't remember the rule well enough to explain it, but in my case, he only had a single unit with 2 damage that got through or can attack me, so I have to apply this damage to one of my cards. He has to do the same thing, so he's going to have to apply 3 damage and 2 damage. Oh, the rule is more damage is going to... Okay, so I had 5 damage. None of his cards can take 5 damage. So the max he could take is 3 damage to remove a card, and then the remaining 2 damage he's also going to have to apply. So in my case, he can't do enough to kill any of mine, so I'm just going to apply it to one of my resource cards. Doesn't really matter. I'll pick training. So 2 points will apply to mine, knock it down to a 1 defense, but that's fine. He then steals 3 of my money with his common thief, because it says steal 3 after the war, and then we score our victory points. Alright, so not too bad. I actually outscored him, mostly because of that 1 card that I played, the trade capital card. And then any cards that have been knocked out during the previous play, one of them gets destroyed basically and is going to be useless for the remainder of the game. Other knocked out cards are returned to play with 1 less strength. So this is showing you that it pulled 4 cards out of the 8 that we played, and those 4 cards are now my starting 4 for this next round. So 8 cards total were played in my tableau. It just shuffled them up, randomly drew 4 of those, and that's what I start with for this round. So I started with my Holy Knights, so I'm really happy to see that. I'm unhappy to see this. He got both of his sneaky guys. So he got the Thief and the Sneaky Tunneler. So at the end of the war, he's going to steal 3 gold again. Plus, since he's got 2 of these, he's going to knock out a fort or this kind of card if I play one. So I have to think carefully about how to deal with that. So That's an unfortunate combination. I don't want to just play a really expensive high-end fort because it's going to immediately get taken out by the sneaky tunneler. So that's an interesting tactical problem. Now the resources last. Once they've been played, you'll see they're grayed out. So once they've been played, you gain this benefit through the rest of the game. So really all these things have for value is these defensive points. But they still retain their point generation from that trade capital that I played. So there is continuity between the cards, and the one card that I had that had taken damage will still have that damage later on. So you can see here his card is slightly reddish, he's been damaged. Alright, so I'm just going to continue to play through, talk a little less, and try to get through a match here in a reasonable amount of time. So let's see here. So I've got resource, 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 and a knight. He's got 2 resources and 2 sneakies. Probably, I'm not sure if he's going to go for a resource or not. Trying to think what I want versus what he wants. I think I'm going to move to a combat footing. So I'm going to probably take these cataphracts. They're pretty powerful. They've got 5 general attack, 4 defense, but then for one infantry will gain +3 defense and +3 attack. So I don't have an infantry out yet, so this is only going to come into play if during the draw phase I get an infantry in my playfield. Between the 2 decks, it's likely I'll be able to, assuming something even more important that doesn't come up that I have to choose instead. Looking what he's got. The counterfeiter's interesting because it only costs me 2 to play him, and notice he's got 2 4-cost cards, 2 3-cost cards, so I would save money by playing this and duplicating whatever he took. But if he took like Western Trade, well, Western Trade would get me that. I think the only one I wouldn't, well, even that's going to get money. I don't know. I'm not going to play that. I think I'm going to have to abandon the wall possibilities. Not going to get this bonus, so these 2 I think are out. It comes down to these 2. I'm going to pick duplicate enemy's choice. I'm going to pick the counterfeiter, I think. Because I can gain a benefit from just about anything he puts out. But once again, these are going to give benefits. This will give benefit to my cavalry. This one I'll still have to get this out. Oh, but if I get it out, it'll knock out one of his 2, which will eliminate his... Yeah, we're going to do that. If he chooses City Guard, I'm going to be happy. Anything else I can live with, and I'll still save money. So we're going with Counterfeiter. He picked the Western Trade. Alright, I'll take it. Not my favorite, but you can see now my card turned into Western Trade. Money, and I got that last resource. Alright, next up, I think I might still pick the City Guard since he didn't pick it for me. Yeah, I'm going to pick City Guard, so I'll need to get an infantry out one way or the other. He's probably going to grab my cataphracts. No, he went with Temple of Wisdom. Why did he go with Temple of Wisdom? He doesn't have 3, so he's not going to gain. He must want the raw points. Alright, so there's my Leviathan card finally came up. It's kind of yellowish tinted, so this is the card I was guaranteed because I chose that leader. So it has now arrived, and it would really be a good idea to take it. It's an infantry card, which is exactly what I want to gain this ability, to knock one of these out, to remove his ability. Hopefully he doesn't take Zealots to just replace one of them. So if either of these goes, I'm hoping it's this one. I want the Tunneler gone. But what else do we have to choose from? I'm not going to worry about a trade card. That's not as useful because I haven't focused on the spirituality buildings. And I don't have a bunch of those. Yep, I got to go with my Leviathans. So what's he going to pick? He went with Rain Dancers, and he paid me because he didn't have the resource that was used to build it. Cool. Exactly what I wanted. We knocked out his sneaky tunneler. Alright, so now that's gone. He's also unable to use that special ability now that that's been knocked out. So if I were to get some large towers, I could get the tower put out safely. Alright, so this is the last choice for this round, and then we're going to have those combats reoccur. We're going to do the conquest phase and then the war phase for this round. So what do we got? Royal Joust. It's got a really good combat or victory points, plus 1 cavalry unit gains victory points, so my Holy Knights will go up to a 5 victory points. He's not going to generate... That's pretty much his only... Oh, he's going to pick Temple of Commerce, which is going to complete his 3 spirituality bonus, so he's going to gain 1 gold for each spirituality after war. Going to get 9 for this card, 10, 11, 12... Oh man, he's going to get like 20 victory points out of this. Yeah, that's what he's going to do. So what do I do to try to counter that? Well, hopefully I can knock out... If I had a bunch of military, I could count on knocking out a bunch of his cards. I'm thinking I'm going to have to go with Skirmisher. I don't really have much of a counter. My only other option is Royal Joust. That'll get me 9 victory points total. That'll counteract a large part of this to maintain victory point balance. 1 allied... Oh, that's allied, so that's me. So that's not really going to help me. Yeah, so it's between these two. I'm going to go with... Well, I'd really like to get Skirmishers out. Actually, no. Yeah, I don't think it's a choice. I have to go with that. I have to maintain that victory point balance. Yep, exactly what I thought he would do. Alright, so now we have a new conquer phase, so those little castles are going to appear. I've got 3 to his 0, so I'm going to win them all. And these are just pure victory points, so it's a way of scoring victory points separate from the combat between the characters, if you focus on war-related items. He has to assign a bunch of damage, so here he goes. Alright, so we managed to knock out his rain dancers and then damage some of the other buildings. Alright, and then final scoring. So he has to pay 1 to use the Common Thief, so that's why it says -1 there. Alright, so we've got a pretty substantial lead. We're heading into the next round. Oh yeah, it's going to randomly pick one of the knocked out cards to destroy. And then it lowers the hit points or the defense value on the other ones. And we're into round 3. Alright, so those are all the cards that have come up so far that we've played, and it's going to randomly draw 4. Alright, so we ended up with a lot of culture and nothing else. He's got resources, one of his destroyed cards, and a redoubt. Alright, so he didn't get very good cards either, so I actually got some victory point. I got a lot of victory point generation, so I could just focus on that, or I can go to war and hope to do a bunch of damage to him. I'm going to go... Let's see... Have anything out yet? What's he likely to pick? Got the Colosseum, which is a pretty big victory point card. Onager's Emperor's Wall. He's got a lot of good cards down there. I'm not sure which one he might go with. But that also means I'm going to have the opportunity to pick from the remains. I've got 22. He's got 27 gold. Only 4 cards to pick, so let's do... I think I'm going to go in just skirmishers. I could do crossbows. If he gets an infantry unit out, it'll hit them with 4 before the war starts, possibly knocking them out, and then it'll get the 2 normal damage. Shield wall's great if you focused on infantry, but we're in round 3 already, and I don't think I've got more than 1 infantry out, so I don't think that's going to come into play really this round or the final round, the bonus at least, so we're going to ignore that one. Weaponsmith is possible. It's got a little more variability. Skirmishers is just straight up. I'm going to go with Skirmishers. They've got a straight up bonus that I don't have to worry about synergizing with other cards. So yeah, we're going to go with Skirmisher. So what's he pick? He went with the Coliseum, so he went with the victory points. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. The Skirmisher is going to get us the bonus there for the more victory points, so that was a good choice. Alright, so now I get to pick from the remains of what he had. So, like I said, he's got a lot of good cards there, so... He went with the Coliseum, Culture Generation. He's going to get to pick from my cards. I think I'm going to go with the Onagers. 6 attack versus the highest victory point generation when enemy has no defensive towers. Oh, he's got a Redoubt, so unless I can get rid of that Redoubt, he's actually going to be able to ignore that. So, let's see. Well, I can go with Emperor's Wall. I won't get the benefit from this, but I mean it is worth 8 defense value and 2 victory points. I won't get the benefit of this because I don't have another wall out, and it's a much smaller. So yeah, we're going to go with the Emperor's Wall. Alright, he went with crossbows. Alright. Let's see. Pantheons come up, so one enemy musical card loses half of its victory point value. That's pretty interesting. It gains me 6, loses him 3, and has 5 defense. That's a really good card. As opposed to Inconceivable Wonder. This would be a swing of 9 points total, plus 6 for me, minus 3 for him. This would be 10 points to me, so technically this would be worth more with the same defensive value. I don't have any other cards that's going to affect due to that. Thinking he's going to go with Blessed Defenders. I'm going to go with Inconceivable Wonder. Oh, he went with the Fort of Last Resort. Alright. And the final card choice of the round. So I've got a large wall up. He's only got 1 attacker card, so I can easily defend against that. Now, before the war, he's going to get 4 attack versus an infantry. I have no infantry out. I have no ability to pick an infantry, so I don't have to worry at all about his combat capability. I've got a higher combat than he does, so I'll win the conflict or conquest stage against the first castle as well. So, what are we going to pick? What are we going to pick? Now the other thing I have to think about, again, is in the next round, the last round, the card I pick is going to go into the deck of cards. They're going to be the final card deck for that last round. So I'm also thinking not just what the immediate benefit it is, but how this selection can go into the deck of cards I've been building towards that last round. I've got at least 1 other wall, I believe, so I think I'm going to skip the Cyclopean walls. Swap with an enemy bought at the same time. The Oracle. So you're predicting and you're taking advantage of him. So if he buys like the Pantheon for the 6 points, my Oracle will swap values with that building. That sounds pretty fun. Maybe I'll do that one. Alternatively, Blessed Defenders with a defensive, 3 allied attackers gain 3. See, if I had more allied attackers, I might grab that. I've got the wall out, so I would gain 6 because I've got 1 allied attacker. That'd be 6 with 3 defense. Go this way though, I could also gain 6. and basically prevent him from 6, because he would get 1 instead. Yeah, let's do that. That looks entertaining. Let's try it. I'm guessing he's going to go for Pantheon. Yep, he went for Pantheon, so let's watch those numbers swap. That makes me happy. Alright, so my 3 versus his 1, so I take the first one, he takes the second one for 2 points, and nobody gets the last one. Then the war phase. This will be pretty straightforward, so I only have to take 1 point of damage. We'll just absorb that. I'm going to leave my walls at full strength. I'm just going to take the point on my... we'll take it on Western Trade. He lost his catapults. And that's going to get... oh, that was already destroyed. That started that way. So, alright, victory points is going to get even more lopsided. Yeah, I don't think there's even enough points that he could score to overtake me at this point in this last round, so... okay. Alright, so now all the cards that we played in the previous rounds, there are 16 total, are now being shown. These are the cards that are going to be used for this final deck, for the final phase. So it just shows them to you, and then it's going to shuffle those up. And we're now going to pick 8 cards out of those 16 for our final play tableau. Alright, so first draw. And in this one, like you can see, it doesn't put 4 at the beginning here. So it's a full 8 card draw for this last one. So I've got 29 gold, he's got 26. And here we go. And it's only cards that are going to come up are the ones in those 16 we had picked previously. So hopefully we picked wisely. Do I want to go defensive or just go stack on as much culture victory points as I can? I know he's got a number of these thief type cards. I don't care if he steals gold after the war, because that's going to be irrelevant. Gold actually does play a part. For every 2 gold you gain 1 additional victory point. So if he can accumulate gold, he will get some victory points out of it. But it won't be very much, so I'm not too worried about that. Southern Trade is useless by this point. I've already got all the resources, so I'd really only be playing it for the benefit and synergy with other cards that might score me additional victory points, such as this. The Trade Capital in combination would gain 2 victory points because it's a industry card. I don't see... I can't play both of these at once, obviously, so I'm going to go with City Guard and hope to knock out one of his cards. What happens if I end up drawing all of my trade cards? Maybe I'll go with this instead. I get defensive 3, so the same defense. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Trade Capital. So he went with the Redoubt. Alright, next up. And in this one, it's your card draws are only from your own 16 cards. It's not going to flip back and forth like it did in the earlier rounds. Alright. So hopefully during the first 3, you built up a group of 16 cards that are going to be powerful for this last round. Alright, so he got a Redoubt up, so it's got 3 defense, and it gains more defense. 1, so if he gets another one out, it's going to gain 3. Alright, so if he gets the 4 to last resort out, he's going to have a lot of defense. But I don't care how much defense he has. I don't really even need to attack him. I just want to stack on as much victory conquest points as I can, or yeah, victory points. So again, these 2 are complementary, but I only can pick one of them. If I throw this out, it's going to be kind of funny if I just throw out a bunch of resource cards in this last round. But for every one I throw out, he's going to gain 2 plus 2, so that card's worth 4 victory points if I put it into play. Royal Joust is worth 5, and I think I've got some more cavalry cards. Let's do this one. I'm actually not planning on attacking him, so we'll just stack on as much victory points as we can. Alright. And more resources, and the Oracle, so I can swap. He has no victory points there, so that's not going to help me. I'd still get the raw 6 points, though. Alternatively, I can just toss one of these out and get 4. No, we're going to go with the 6. I should have plenty of money to fill in the remaining cards because I've got the discounts for everything, so you can see things are costing very little. Not much choice here. I don't care about the wall. So we'll just go with, it doesn't really, that one's wounded or damaged, so we'll go with the stronger one. Alright. Not sure what that choice was for him, but we're playing on normal AI as well, so I'll probably bump it up to hard AI eventually. The AI does not cheat, it plays with the exact same rules and knowledge that the player has, so I'll probably bump up to hard AI if this game gets runaway victory points like it's looking. Alright, so my Leviathans have come up again. Do I have to worry about anything? Yep, if I throw the infantry out, they're going to take 4 damage before the war even starts. They'll survive it, so I might still consider that. Alright, synergy-wise, if we can get a cavalry out or our production building. So there's the cavalry, so we're definitely going to do our Holy Knights, because the Holy Knight's going to gain 4 additional victory points, so he'll be worth 8. Plus he's got decent combat values, and I've actually got one of these out, so he's going to get 9 total. So no real choice there. That's an awesome pick. Whoops, oh crap. Oh no, he's cavalry, so that crossbows won't affect him. Yeah, 9. Love it. And that's part of the synergy. You have to kind of remember what you've played previously and hope for those kind of combination synergies in this last round to maximize your score. Alright, Inconceivable Wonders worth 5. These would be worth 4 with my bonus here. So, let's go with the Wonder. They've got a higher defensive value for the victory points, so got 16 points, so yeah, I can't possibly spend all that money for these last 2 cards. So he's pretty much following a similar pattern. He's just trying to stack as much victory points, but it's not going to help him. He's way too far behind. Alright, so this one's worth 4 to begin with, so it'll be 6 when I get it out, so I think we definitely go with that. He has no sneaky cards out for the City Guard to really work with, so we'll go with that. It's only worth 1 defense, but that's alright. I got other cards that can defend. Alright, and this last card. Again, he's got nothing for me to worry about attack-wise, so reduce all enemy war damage by 1 for each house. That's not effective. I don't have to worry about defending against anything except for the 1 point damage from the crossbow. I can easily absorb that in any number of these. I'll gain 4 victory points or 4 victory points. So let's go with the skirmishers. Alright, so the conquer phase, we're going to win this one. We'll get 8 victory points out of that. And then the war phase is going to be similarly lopsided. So he has no damage coming in because my skirmisher removed the damage that his crossbows had. So originally he was going to do 1, but he lost that. We got some money, now scoring. Alright, so he made a little bit of points from the remaining money, but I had an equivalent, and so pretty much a runaway success there. So we won 119 to 49, and it shows the breakdown. Alright, so once you finish the match, you get kind of a bonus gold reward. You're guaranteed a minimum amount of gold for the match. So 1 versus a normal computer equals a normal reward. Try hard computer for higher rewards. Basically, you click a box, and it'll show you what all the boxes have, but there's a chance to get a higher gold payout. So I got 30. 20 is the low, and there's, I think, a single 50 right there as the high. So I got one of the mid-range. Oh, there's 2 50s, it looks like. So, alright. So I now have this much gold, and like I mentioned, you get gold so that you can buy card packs, and like I said, there's no in-app purchases, nothing like that. Everything is contained in the game. This card pack and gold system is just a progression method. It's a way of introducing new cards into the game as you play for some variety. So there's no real downside to it. You just play a few matches and you'll have enough gold in order to buy a new pack, and those cards from the pack then get added into your deck. So you'll have more cards to draw from as you play with more variations. And occasionally the cards that you get out of the packs will be those leader cards, and that will unlock the various leader cards so you can guarantee yourself certain cards showing up in the play. So that is Age of Rivals, a single match against a medium AI. I think I'll probably bump it up to hard from here on out. It also does have challenges for rewards, so there's kind of a, I don't want to call it a campaign, but it's a system of missions that you can go through. So it says here, these challenge levels are bonus content included in this version of the game for free. Try them when you're ready for a challenge. So the Prince in Hiding, beat part 1 of the campaign to earn this card. So right here it shows you Lorenzo attempts to find a successor. You can do normal level, hard level, and rewards. So I haven't played this yet. If there's interest in the game, I really like the game. I'm going to try some hard to make sure that it's challenging, because that medium difficulty runaway match was kind of silly. If hard gives me a challenge, then I'll definitely continue to play, and I'll be interested in the challenges. But I think that's it for now. So hope you've enjoyed the episode and the game. Look forward to seeing you in future episodes. I really enjoy board games, so I plan on doing kind of a playlist series. I'll just throw all these digital board games into that playlist so you can kind of get a feel for different games. And if you would, please do use the like, comment, and subscribe options. I'd love to know how I'm doing, and those help the metrics of the channel so we can improve and bring you more content in the future. So have a good day. Bye-bye.